The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is, we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed, with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news, untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team. The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are The Amba World Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we draft. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers?
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort, while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front.
Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communication equipment to maximize their efforts?
Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics?
Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy?
On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through the fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country?
Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical, intelligence and other special operations across the national territory?
As we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Ambazonia die as a wish because we failed to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting a great people.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depends on that.
It is Award 22. Let us draft until we drop.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. It is said, by their fruits you shall know them. Coup plotters, blacklegs, unionists, federalists, special statisticianists, Abdul Karim et al. Are all begging for normalcy. In fact, they are begging and crying for normalcy. The question is, who benefits if all goes normal, as though nothing ever happened, as though there is no war in Ambazonia? Who? The answer is simple. Ambazonia. La République du Cameroon wants the world to believe that all is well and that they are capable of handling the crisis without any external help. No bona fide Ambazonia wants that, but sellouts really don't care. Meanwhile, the octogenarian and Singang chief priest Paul Bartholomew B. Vundo Bia was too tired to welcome his Emperor Macron last night. As always, house slave John Ngute was commissioned to do the job. That notwithstanding, Ambazonians have proven almost across the entire national territory that they are unstoppable. The lockdown, but for a few spots in Paco, was at least 95% successful. Why coup plotters are plotting, scheming and collaborating with Atanganji Paul, Colonel Banqui, to give Macron a red carpet reception in both Cameroons, the peoples of Ambazonia are willing to be free. They would rather stay indoors for 3 days only, a civil protest against the Franco-Cameroon hegemony, and to be free from decades of a belligerent occupation. In tonight's Undaunted, we will examine the reason behind the reasons, lay it on the table, and bring you into the know of the untold. But before we get there, let's get the prime headlines.
These are the prime headlines for today, July 26, 2022. Thibault Naj says Macron should use this first official visit to engage Biya and the entourage for honest resolution of the Ambazonia issue. Irrigated commercial motorcycle in Bamenda recovered in Yaoundé. Lockdown respected scrupulously across Ambazonia. Homefront heed IG's lockdown call to shame La Republic de Cameroon, France and its enablers. Hospital sends home unstable accident victim for money in Bamenda is a story we will look into deeply today. Pitch invasions in sports, offenders to receive automatic club ban under new Premier League and EFL measures. Thibault Naj says Macron should use this first official visit to engage Biya and his entourage for honest resolution of the Ambazonia issue. The former United States Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, who is currently serving as Assistant Secretary on the Bureau of African Affairs for the U.S. State Department, in a tweet dated July 25, 2022, made it abundantly clear that, and I quote, French President Macron's first official visit to Cameroon is a perfect opportunity to insist to Biya and the entourage to engage honestly with Anglophones, of course, that's Ambazonians, and seek resolutions to the crisis. Anglophones will have justice. The only question is, when will it be? All right, on tonight's Undaunted, we will be having Dr. Kizito Elad, who is the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, as well as Dr. Patience Abiodun, who is the Secretary of State for Women Affairs. And of course, this is where we'll begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Onyi Okbala, and Sir Smart is here with me as always. Good evening, Sir.
Good evening, Onyi. Fellow Ambazonians, it's worthy to note that Thibault Naj is one of the foreign diplomats that has expressed a lot of concern and has been very outspoken on seeing a lasting solution to the crisis that has blown out into a full-fledged war and genocide in the former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. The dollar question is, what magic wand will Macron employ to remove food from the mouth of the French? How can Macron risk starving the French by allowing a free Ambazonia? Africa remains the breadbasket, the live wire of France, and expecting anything good for Ambazonia can only be tantamount to suicide for France and the French. Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, expect anything good from Macron at your own risk. Going down memory lane, French President Francois Mitterrand said to Biya, "Jamais un anglophone à étudier." Never an anglophone at étudier, that is no anglophone as president of La Republique du Cameroon. And this was in 1992 when John Furundi, an anglophone, won the presidential election and his victory was stolen by the French and handed to Biya. Paul Biya himself admitted publicly that he was Mitterrand's best student.
Now, according to Cardinal Chudi in November 2017, he lashed out at France fueling the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Cardinal Christian Tumi accused France of seeking to make sure the majority French-speaking Cameroonians assimilate the minority English-speaking population. Tumi, who is 87 years at the time, said that after the reunification of Cameroon, the idea was to wipe out from Cameroon the Anglo-Saxon culture. Now, the problem is France. The problem has always been France. I mean, that was what the Vice President also stated out here on Undaunted yesterday. Cardinal Tony continues lamenting, and I quote, "I was in Rome for the Synod of Bishops, and the French embassy invited us for a reception. Those of us who were from the French-speaking countries He says, so I was there and one of the workers in the embassy approached me and asked me which country I came from. I told him that I was from Cameroon. He immediately told me, we are very happy that you are assimilating the Anglophones, which means that was the policy of France.
To me, the Cardinal also saw French meddling behind the irregularities in the country's 1992 presidential election, which involved an Anglophone, John Frundi. Everybody knows that Frundi won the election in 1992. Who organized the coup? It was Mitterrand, and I am citing something French President Francois Mitterrand said to Biya, Jamais un anglophone à Tudi. This is what Toumi said. The phrase means no Anglophone, like I said, should ever be allowed in Etudi. Etudi is the French Cameroon presidential palace. The Cardinal concluded that what is creating the whole problem is the presence of France in Cameroon. Whereas the English people left, whereas they packed their boxes and everything and went away, Cameroon is controlled by France. That's the problem. That's what Toumi said. And in 2019, a group of academics and human rights activists used the launching of the Paris Peace Forum to pressure President Macron to use France's considerable influence to help bring Cameroon's ongoing conflicts to an end.
Now, 3 years after encountering, Macron has remained evasive, thereby enhancing the genocidal agenda by the occupier La République du Cameroon. Today, we count over 40,000 innocent lives lost, over 500 villages and towns burnt down to ashes, hundreds of thousands of denizens sent on exile, all as refugees, and Macron watching like he is in a gallery. With these testimonies, can any rightful thinking Ambazonia expect any turnaround in French policy in Cameroon? Zero from the go to today, it has been the same. Before we get to the next paper, we have analysts for today. Ambazonians, if you are ready, please let's have Dr. Patience Abiodu here in the studio. She's the Secretary of State for Women Affairs. We also have Dr. Kizito Elad, Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs. Would want to know their thoughts on Macron's visit. This should be day 2. All right. Please confirm that you can hear us loud and clear so that we can also confirm that we can hear you as well. Dr. Kizito and Dr. Patience, please.
Yeah,
I can hear you both.
5 on 5. Greetings, 5 on 5. We can hear you both.
All right. So
And
this should be
I can hear you
day
as
2
well.
of French president's visit to La République du Cameroon. And so far, we are not sure or certain of the reason why he is here. Yesterday, when the vice president was in the studio with us, we tried to understand and get his take on probably the reasons why he's here. But you know, the vice president, being who he is, didn't give us a direct answer. But then, as the days goes by, we'll definitely pick out the reasons why he is here. But let's start from you, Dr. Elad. Please tell us exactly what you think about this particular visit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good evening, fellow viewers, fellow Ambazonians, our ARF in Ground Zero. So it's my pleasure being here today on ABC. And with this question, I'm going to kick off. Well, let me be honest. The press is putting up the reasons of Macron's visit to La République in the name of Cameroon to foster the economic and agricultural sector of that country. We will talk on that right away, but let me say this. The Francophone, the 14 Francophone countries are feeling the heat of the war in Ukraine. As we are knowing that Ukraine is the breadbasket of the world, giving food to everywhere in Africa. And so now you can see the prices skyrocketing. The government of La Republique cannot sustain itself. So they cannot pay their dues for Franc-Afrique agreement with France. So now Macron is down there to meet with the Bivodo, Paul Biya, to tell him, look, man, you have to do that. Otherwise, you know what you can do. But that is behind the scene. And in the press, they are saying it's economic and agricultural to foster the economic and agricultural sector. But let's agree with the press that is the foster economic agricultural sector. I'm so happy that the press put that up, which means what we have been doing to La République de Cameroon for the 6 years plus has put them on their knees economically. The economic sabotage, which mostly the lockdowns have caused, is so great. It's peeling their skin off. And then it wonders me and many other real determined, devoted Amazonians to see that some fellows could go out today or yesterday to tell Amazonians that they should not respect the lockdown. But as I've seen on the TV here on ABC, and most other people have informed me from ground zero, I think they are now covering their head with shame because the lockdown was absolutely abundantly successful. More than even, sometimes when people go and try to tarnish something that is genuine, they instead promote it. And thanks to them, the lockdown was wonderful. And I want to thank those people in ground zero who knows what they really want, who knows and are bent to also have their independence than those who sit in the diaspora and communicated and tried to promise someone like Abdul Karim in ground zero something that he will never get, to do such a foolishness that he did today. So it's really a shame, but a success for us Amazonian. They were doing it thinking they are doing it to tarnish President Sako. I don't know if President Sako is the owner of this revolution. That's the mistake they always do. So I'm happy to be here to explain more other things, and I will for now stop on this point.
All right. It's always amazing to have wise minds like you have been the foreign SOS for foreign affairs. It's nice to have you here and that wonderful contribution. I guess the sheep hears the voice of the shepherd and they follow it. Well, Dr. Patience Abiedu, would you like to add anything to what the SOS for foreign affairs said in regards to Macron's visit to La République du Cameroun?
Thank you so much, Star, for having us here today, and also Onye. I want to first begin by greeting everyone at the home front in Ground One and all over the diaspora for listening to us and watching this show today. Yes, I certainly have something to add to that. And I always like to go back to that cooperation agreement that La République du Cameroun had with France some over 60 years ago. Remember that in 1959, just a few months, literally 4 months before La République had its independence on January 1st, 1960, they signed an agreement. The United Nations had given African nations the authority, permission to have their independence. However, France signed an agreement with La République du Cameroun. And one core element on this agreement, Article 6 of this agreement says that France shall determine Cameroon's political, economic, and socio-cultural orientations. This is a very important statement. And for over 61 years now, France has been benefiting from all the wealth that we have in our land, extending to Ambazonia, because this agreement originally was between La République du Cameroon and France. And that's why they don't want to let us go. Dr. Elad already mentioned how they depend on Africa for their existence. And so it makes us understand that it is a matter of life and death. And this lockdown that the president decided that we should hold, 2-day lockdown, which is different from our regular country Sunday lockdown, is to give a statement that we are not part of La République and not celebrating the person who is in charge. Because remember that this war started when Biya came from a meeting with Macron, and that's when he waged that war at the airport, when he made that statement that will be handled, will be dealt with. And he thought that it would last 2 weeks. And now it's 6 years with over 40,000 perished, as you mentioned earlier, numerous homes burnt, thousands of students not going to school, thousands of refugees. So it makes sense for us to make our point clear that we are not part of this land. And if you observed, I just need to throw this in, if you observe today that some lady asked a question of Bia, and she had to repeat herself twice because Bia not listening. I call him a dead man standing. And if he's a dead man standing, which has probably been the case for several years now, who is ruling La République du Cameroon? It's obvious. It's France. And so all the death of our 40,000 people lies on Macron and his government. I just want to add that. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patience Abedu, for that expository detail down there. Only would you have something to say?
Okay, yes, I would want to go back to Dr. Kizito Elad. I would just want to find out, as the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, now we've had this issue crippling. Of course, you have interaction with other countries. I'm sure that's what your position entails. Now we have Macron coming to La République du Cameroon, and over the news, if you've been very regular, frequent with our news bulletins, you realize that we've always had the news of Frank Biya in the news. And, you know, almost at the same time we were given this report, we began to get information and reports that Emmanuel Macron will be visiting La République du Cameroon, of course, with exception to Ambazonia, the southern part of Cameroon as well. So it means that we are not even in the picture. Now, with all of these enshrined together, do you think that, just like Dr. Patience mentioned, Dr. Patience Abedu mentioned earlier, do you think that all of this is because probably Paul Biya is not active in service, and probably the son is to be installed as the new president? Because I don't know the kind of government they are running. It's not democracy. We can't really pick out the kind of government they are running. So do you think that that is the reason why Macron will be visiting us from your foreign status?
Well, thank you. And just to make it clear to you guys that I've been following you people, and you're not just mere journalists or reporters. You are investigating too, because you nailed it the real way. As you guys were talking, that is, if you guys listen to my conversation with the chair of ACT and the chair of House of Representatives, Mawini Lombardi, on the question of if Russia and Israel are in Amazonia, I said it clear. And this is what we know, especially when we were in Yaoundé at the La République territory. We always know that there is no rumor without some degree of truth. It has always been, and everybody knows. Macron went to Africa once where some fake NGOs went there to kidnap children, and they were caught. I think that was in which country like this, if it's not Mali, Senegal or so. Macron had to travel. No, that was not even Macron, it was Sarkozy then. Sarkozy went there in the afternoon, got all those French kidnappers, brought them back. The coup plot on the president of Chad from France through his own son, who killed him. The same day that his death was announced, Macron went to Chad and installed the child as president. Now, knowing that Biya, maybe you know they have all this, they know the doctors have proof maybe he's gonna die in the next few days or hours. You can see, as the Secretary of State for Women Affairs said, a dead man standing. How many times? The Secretary of State for Women Affairs said that question was asked twice. No, 4 times. And then there was one man standing near Biya who repeated the question to him again before he was answering something else. 5 times. They know that is not going. And rumors have always been, who is ruling La République du Cameroon? Who is the president? People point at Ngongo and the wife and the coming up of Frank Biya. We have already known before that Frank Biya is going to take over. There was a training that he was sent to various countries how to act presidential. All those things we see and we know. As the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, we've met a lot of countries. I won't name them here. I won't name the people here who have told us openly that he will be the next president. But in fact, that does not concern us. They can do what they do in their country. It doesn't concern us. The thing is, when he was across the boundary to implement through some certain blacklists and sellouts in our territory, that is when they will see, as my patients rightly said, Paul Biya, he did not even say 2 weeks. He said 10 days. They will crush us. But we are 6 years plus today. Just want to make it clear here that those people who are trying to help the agendas in the country, look, I bet you they will answer in front. Our justice will judge them. We are not here for any joke. You guys know, you are the journalists. You guys are seeing, you guys are investigating. You guys are deep into this, the system of what is happening down there. For some people to sit here today and think that they can just stand up and become who they are, call themselves, whatever name they want to give themselves, president or whatever, as if this revolution was made for them. It's just an exercise of futility. It's dead on arrival. They should know that. And they have seen it. So, without much ado, I will give space for another question so we can go ahead.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Elad. Now, that particular video that you are talking about, will definitely give Ambazonians who may not have seen that video, will play that video in the course of this bulletin, so that everyone can see that particular video that you are talking about. But before then, you mentioned lockdown. Yes, before we allow you to talk about lockdown, we have something, not just something, a thing or two to say about lockdown. So please just hold on and stand by. Dr. Patience Abiodun, please hold on as well. We will definitely come back for us to talk about the lockdown proper. Let's go back to the news.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Yesterday, we reported that some cities in Yaoundé respected the lockdown, Home front hit to the IG's lockdown call to shame La République du Cameroon, France and its enablers. This is a vote of confidence to President Samuel Ikome Sako. Of course, images from the 13 counties that make up Ambazonia speak volumes only for 1 day of the lockdown called by the interim government under his able and super amazing president, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako. Besides billboards sent out by the IG prior to the visit of the colonial French President Emmanuel Macron, the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Sako, is strongly worded. In a strongly worded message, I beg your pardon, on Saturday, July 23rd, 2022, during the manual draft, underscored while Ambazonians must demonstrate and manifest to the colonial masters, La République du Cameroon and France, that they have nothing again to do with them.
President Sako was categorical that after having lost over 45,000 innocent souls, over 500 villages and towns razed in a stupid war declared by France and La République du Cameroon, we must use the Macron visit to pass on our message, because we are mourning and we must tell the French President Macron that it is high time for protagonists to go to the negotiations table and end the war in Ambazonia. Ambazonians have decided to throw their full support behind the leader whom they consider as steady on the fight against La République du Cameroon, consistent and stands for full independence, a leader in Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako. 100% in Bamenda local government area, the heartbeat of Ambazonia, everybody indoors, no circulation, market closed, banks closed, and more. Coopers are ashamed now, and they will have only their wounds to lick, because despite the wish of sellouts like Abdul Karim and other La République du Cameroon agents, blacklegs and more, the lockdown was a huge success across the entire home front. Sako is doing a great job.
All right, so before we give you some videos now, let's talk about the power of patriotism. Now you see that when the People's Interim Government gives a beneficial order to the people and the independence movement, coup plotters, One Cameroon enablers and federalists will try to confuse it to please, of course, La République du Cameroon and France. Every time they always fail, because the people of Ambazonia respect and, of course, are listening to Sako and the interim government. The international community recognizes President Sako as a guarantor and interim government for being organized and showing leadership at home and abroad through the local government area counter-federal structure, where the local communities have direct control and participation. Support for Sako is validated by massive attendances and huge financial support during drafting. Communities are supporting themselves through direct participation. The world is watching the home front country Sunday and respective lockdowns ordered by Sako. Play your part by obeying.
People at home hold the yam and knife in this movement, you know. Do not listen to bogus instructions and La République du Cameroon sponsored calls for home leadership. La République du Cameroon and France, through their proxies, want to be coach and referee of both sides. When you see La République du Cameroon promoting a leader, know they have control over that leader. They promote that idea so as to easily kill the leader, then declare that the leadership is decapitated, and so there is surrender and normalcy. Lies, we know better. You know better. They try to promote unity warriors and more. That is another scheme involving their BIRs and some of our own. Lies that we know better. Our ARFs know better. However, gullible people meet early demise, unfortunately, through internal actions. Sako is unflappable and focused. Homefront obedience is strengthening our case and hastening our independence. Boya is real and soon. Professor Ayim, Chair President of Advisory Council, PAC.
All right, now this says a whole lot. You know, when the lockdown was declared prior to the visit of Emmanuel Macron, we had different diversions, so many coup plotters and nibblers saying no, there wouldn't be any lockdown. But hey, day one, we saw videos from even La Republic de Cameroon saying, oh no, we are not going to travel to Bamenda or any southern Cameroon county or local government area. What did that tell us? It told us that they are obviously respecting the lockdown. What did that say? It also says that they have heard the voice, the words, and the orders of President Samuel Ikomesako, and so they are also willing to go by it. I mean, that's what it should be. All right, let's go back to our analysts to hear what they have to say. Dr. Kizito Elad was always talking about the lockdown from even the first story. So this is the floor for you, Doctor, before we go to Dr. Patience Abiudu.
Yeah, thank you for coming back to me. And again, it's a pleasure being here and talking about this lockdown. So let me use this time to really analyze something, because this is something that has been since last year. Akwanga, that you all know, jumped out of act single-handedly, secretly, printed flyers, went out, was sharing in Ground Zero, asking people to disobey our country Sunday. That was secretly done. Fortunately, we have people, as I have said before, who are determined and devoted to see our independence and liberty. They contacted me and asked if I know about it. I said no. I called the president, asked the president, and he said no, there is nothing discussed like that to be done. None of us in act. No, those of us, the interim government in act, we never knew. This one by the other people were Buhaba and the other groups in act. But the interim government was. So we came out. And this is what I will say today, that I was really disappointed when I heard Chris Anu, who was with me in this fight against the APLM, so-called APLM Sokadef, trying to do something behind called CPM, that is the confidence building method that asks us to do to show that we control the ground. And we told them that no, we have already, as this interim government, shown everything that we control the ground. So we don't need to do what they are asking. They wanted us to take a choose any county in Amazonia, allow the children to go back to school, open their shops this country Sunday, and for I think they say a week or so, and also to make sure our forces are not on any movement. But we were wise to ask them, and what is the La Republique going to do? We said, for us to do such things, La Republique should take off away their troops from our territory totally, call the United Nations to create a buffer zone that none of their troops can go by and harm our children. But they were how that is going to take long before you meet the United Nations, before they do that. They agree on certain documents. We know the bureaucracy and all whatnot. And you know what? This was a trap again for another Kumba massacre. If where we would have taken it, and if we would have accepted this would have gone, La Republique would have penetrated that area, killed those children, blame it on us, everything will fall on our head. But when we refuse and we stand on our position, it never worked. The people in Ground Zero listened to us, they denounced Akwanga, and that was it. And that reason, Akwanga before has already listed in his position that he will never be in in act except Chris Ano is taken out of act. And I told him openly that, okay, you will go away. If you don't want to do that, you go away. Now, let me say this. You know, why I say, I don't know if people think it's President Sako who owns this revolution. Because everything is attack on him. You just made a statement here. Mr. Made he is focused and unflattered. That is true. He received all the abuses on earth. Just because the monetary oxygen has been off, there are times we must say the truth. This monetary oxygen has been cut off from people like Akwanga, Ayaba, and all the other idiots. Sorry for that word, but idiot is not an abuse. An idiot is a fool that doesn't know that he owns it. He is giving that thing unconsciously and thinking he or she is doing things. That is the definition of an idiot. So those people who were talking about this lockdown should not hold today. They are in that category. Them, the president, well, let me tell you, they make loud noises out there, but the thing is simple. This president has crossed the bridge and burned the boat. There is a saying, there was a captain who took his military to war. The courage arrived at the war area, the enemies are, and he set fire on the boat. He told his armies, the only way we can live here back home is to win this war. And that is what President Sako has done. So they are so angry and they will do everything just to tarnish him. But I always tell them, you can take off the President Sako, but you will not take off the revolution because we are there. It is good. They abuse him, how he is weak, he is quiet, he is sluggish, he is that. True, he is. But that is the character of a right leader.
Right.
Because if you take a lion to lead 5,000 ships at war, they will never win that war. But if you take a ship with 5,000 lions, they are going to win. And so the sluggish, slow, whatever name they give the president is the ship. And we are the lions. We are behind him. So there is no way. And that I want to say that, again, let me thank those people back home. Thank you so much. We in the diaspora, we will draft, we will respect, we will do our contribution. We will do everything to sustain you people there. We are already at the winning point. We are crossing the line. I said it last time. When you run a race, before you reach the winning point, you start thinking of giving up because your chest is paining. Your legs cannot carry you again. You only give your last breath and you cross and you win. And that is what is happening now in this revolution.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Aile Kizito. You've heard it all, fellow Ambazonians. The struggle is not about one person. It is not about Sako or any other person. It is getting to Boya. It is indeed getting to Boya. I'd like to ask Dr. Patient, you've heard what Dr. Aile Kizito said in regards to the lockdown. There were people who spread even flyers, who went as far as getting flyers to distract and bring about confusion as to the lockdown, saying there was no lockdown or trying to cause a different opinion to that of which the president, Ikome Sakos, gave. So what do you have to say about the day 2 of this lockdown? We've had day 1, even with all these commotions, it was still successful. What do you have to say about day 2? And how do you think it's going to work with all these enablers printing even flyers and saying it's not what it is? What do you have to say about day 2?
Thank you, Mr. for that question. One of the voices that was opposing the president's message of 3 days lockdown was the impostor Marianta, who was one of our sisters in this struggle for independence. we realized that she went to the other side based on her convictions. Either she's tired of fighting for Amazonians, or she has been bought over. Whatever the case may be, most Amazonians understand that she's a sellout or a coup plotter, as we know them to be. She said something in her audio. She said that this is a confidence building measure. Most people, when they carry out confidence building measures, do not announce it. Something is just done, and those who are politically inclined, one way or the other, will understand the side language behind it. But if you want to go and look at the meaning of a confidence building measure, this, because people want to know what it is, it says that confidence building measures are planned procedures to prevent hostilities, to avert escalation, to reduce military tension, and to build mutual trust between countries. So is Ms. Marianta telling us that she's trying to do one of this with La Republic? So let's be real here. They, and I really appreciate our people in the home front, that listened to the president's message, why this lockdown was important, and observed the first lockdown day, which is Tuesday, because normally we have our country Sundays, which they all observe lockdown. So Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm really thankful that Tuesday was successful. And I believe that Wednesday will also be a successful lockdown in our territory. The message has to be clear. The coup plotters, they have only one agenda. They prefer, and listen to me please, Amazonians, the coup plotters, and it was always a passion for Chris Ano, who is really behind them, because if Chris had his way, he would have been the president of that side. But as things happen, it fell upon Marianta. One Cameroon, and their passion is at best to have a federation. And I throw this out there. Is that what you want? After the 40,000 people that have gone, a federation? After all the 500,000 villages that have been, 500 homes, villages that have been burnt? After all the IDPs and refugees, just mark my word, come back home, they will always be second-class citizens. Always. There's no way that they will have opportunities, despite their talents, the level of education, over a francophone or somebody from La République du Cameroon. So we need to take this to the end, and that's why our President Sako, has disciplined himself that the only way he will speak with La République will be on that table. He's not one of those like the Akwangas or the Ayabas who go behind and speak to these enemies. We don't know what deals they are making. They may be getting some little giveaways, getting some little financial benefits. That's between them, but that is blood money, because it's money that our lost sons have been perished for. So I say this, that this lockdown, and I'm thankful that it's going to the third day very successful, is to show that President Sako is the leader of the Anglophones that they call, or the separatists, whatever name the international community ascribes to us. But the understanding is that these are the people who want freedom, total freedom. And let me just reflect a little bit on Resolution 684, the resolution that came out on January 1st, 2021, from the Biden administration. That resolution states that the separatists and the government of La Republic should see that without any preconditions and solve this problem once and for all. And that is also the words that are being echoed by Thibault Nash in his recent tweet. Will it happen? The only way it will happen is if we affirm if we stand behind this president. Can you imagine if every Ambazonian that belongs in one of all those movements, if they were to just join their local government and their county and say, we have a government, we are ready to sit with our republic as equals and solve this problem. Do you imagine what will happen? This problem will be solved. It will be solved because you have two people on that table without any fighting. And I always say that when we get to Buea, the people at home front who will decide who their leaders are. There's no point fighting for power now. Be you Bo Hubbard or Abdul Karim. Yes, Abdul Karim is one of the people that made that statement also. And that statement from Abdul Karim shows that he despises this government, shows that he has no faith in our government. And we don't have faith in him also. I believe that he's not for independence. I believe that he's a federalist. And if he's listening to me, he and I have had our fight on Team Ambazonia. I'm not afraid to say it here. He's a federalist. He should just stay away from our business. Let us fight our war. Let us fight to get to Buea. Let us try to remember our 40,000 dead. Thank you so much, Mr.
That's the goal at the end of the day, to get to Buea.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Patience Abiodun. Now, talking about the reactions, we have some reactions here to some videos. I would want you to sit back and watch, and definitely we'll come back to coup plotters and blacklegs. We'll come back to that discussion. I want you to see this video for yourself.
My mommy them, papa them, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, this now my Patience Abiodun, the Secretary of State for the Department of Women's Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. I want to make this short audio. The first reason for this audio now for thank una for observing Country Sunday as usual, and also for observing day 1 of the Macron lockdown. I want also say we get only one more day for lockdown, which will be tomorrow, Wednesday, July 27th. We understand, say, it not be easy for stay home for 3 consecutive days or for 3 days back to back. So we thank una plenty for the sacrifice. Number 2, I want to say, if we not always listen to our president, Dr. Ekome Sako, and messages where they come from him through other members of the government, like the Secretary of State for Communications and many others, things will be less confusing for una. People like Marianta, Chris Ano, and many of the coup plotters, where they be part of this government, and they exit based on false information, now people they wanna never get for listen to. If una listen to them, then that means say when I don't buy the idea, say when I want to stay with La Republic as one Cameroon, because that's what they really want, even though they may be saying other things, that they work with La Republique du Cameroon. People like Abdul Karim, where they don't come out, they defy this government. When I know where I stand, because any man we don't go for prison, when he come out, somehow it could be supporter of La Republique du Cameroon. And in my belly, I believe, say, Abdul Karim no be strongly for our independence. Maybe we for all welcome federation in 2016, after the teachers and lawyers they go on a strike. But because of the over 40,000 of our people, the way they don't really kill them, the thousands and thousands of IDPs and refugees, and the fact that they don't disseminate our villages, our homes, all burned down in several of our areas. We know she don't for listen to anything else other than total independence. So I want just Bekuna say, may we just sacrifice this one more day of lockdown on Wednesday, July 27. We stay home. This be extremely important. Thank you all for listening to me today, July 26th. Long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Short live the struggle.
Good morning, my people for Ground Zero. I think you people already there, almost afternoon now. Well, if you hear this audio, this is Dr. Elad. Unfortunately, I am driving and yes, on the highway, and I'm making the audio. Well, I just heard some people, specifically Secretary Chris, Marietta, and Abdul Karim, talking on the no lockdown. Ambazonians, Ground Zero people, listen, I think we are running 6 years plus in this revolution, and it's time you know some people like myself, Dr. Elad, that I don't follow people. I stand on principles, and if there is something wrong, I don't care who you are, be you the president, activist, or whatever you are, I will tell you straight. People of Ambazonia, we have lockdown. Yesterday, Monday, country Sunday, today and tomorrow. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I know what you guys are undergoing. But listen, come this evening, I will explain detailedly everything that has been going on concerning this lockdown issue. Whatever the so-called Marietta there is talking about CBM, of which ask her if she what is CBM. She knows nothing about whatever she's talking about. Come, my people, today evening, I will be on ABC and I will explain to you the reason why this lockdown is supposed and is taking place. And I'm asking you, Secretary Chris, invite me on your ABS and let me disprove a lot of things that you know, I know, you and me, we know when it comes to this lockdown and CBM. You guys don't forget Akwanga and his crooked way that he wanted last time to sell us by telling people in Ambazonia not to respect lockdown because he wanted to prove to the Swiss that he, Akwanga, and his APLM have control on the ground. My people, I'm not going to make a long audio. I am, as I said, I'm driving. So today, I will do my best. I will be in Berlin from Poland before it is 9 p.m. I will be on ABC. Ambazonia people, come and listen. I am going to prove out all this trick that is going on. Sometimes we do leadership silence because we don't want to cause confusion. But I've realized that the more we stay mute, the more some people take it as an advantage to promote self-aggrandizement. It's a shame to someone like Abdul Karim to go on air and say there is no lockdown. After we spoke on Sunday and you agreed and you told me you are sharing the flyers. So I don't want to make this long. Come this evening, listen, keep the lockdown. The lockdown is going to continue till Wednesday. By 6 o'clock Wednesday, everything will be fine. Thank you for listening. It's Dr. Elad. Please let me drive. Let me be in Berlin. Come and listen to the reason why there's lockdown and why the CBM cannot work and what they want us to do. And that's why these other sellouts are going out there to make sure, I don't know what wind is blowing them. Again, it's Dr. Elad. We will talk this evening. Thank you.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Ambazonians, this is the voice of your humble servant, Dr. Emmanuel G. Tita. And today is Tuesday, July 26, 2022, that I bring to you this very important information. The interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, led by the President, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, have called for a lockdown of the entire territory of Ambazonia from Monday, July 25th through Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. I have listened to some very disappointing audios on social media about no lockdown coming from a group of sellouts in the struggle. Please, my people of Nkwen Park, Ghana Street, Cow Street, Upper and Lower Baele, and Banja, please do not listen to these sellouts in the struggle. My people of Sisia Kwata, both Upper and Lower Sisia Kwata, please do not listen to these sellouts in the struggle. My people of my 2, my 3, Foncha Street, my 4, and my 5 Nkwen, please do not listen to these sellouts in the struggle. My people of New Layout, Tamulung, Old Town, Aziri, Njima 4, Senajes, at Bali Park, and even back up to Upstation Bamenda, please do not listen to these sellouts in the struggle. My people of Bamendankwe, LGA, Bali, LGA, Bafut, LGA, Mankon, Chomba, and Songwa, local government area, Santa, local government area, and Tuba, LGA. Please do not listen to these sellouts in the struggle. My people of the entire Mezam County, Momo County, Menchum, Boyo, Bui, Donga Mantum, Manu, Lebialem, Kupe Maninguba, Ndian, Meme, and Fako County. Please do not listen to these sellouts in the struggle. We have come too far to allow ourselves to be used by individuals with self-interest in the struggle. The lockdown of Ambazonia goes on from Monday, July 25th through Wednesday, July 27, 2022. Again, this is your humble servant, Dr. Emmanuel G. Tita, coming to you from the state of Florida. Thank you, and God bless Ambazonia.
All right, so this is just to, I'm sure, encourage our brothers and sisters at the home front that the lockdown still continues one more day, and then we will be done with it. Special thanks to Dr. Kizito Elad. I mean, you were driving, you made that video, you kept your promise, and you're here on Undaunted tonight. Special thanks to you. Now, over to you, Dr. Patience Abiodun. Now, you've heard Dr. Emmanuel Tita, you've also heard Dr. Elad talking about the reason why this lockdown must continue, talking about the works of these Blackleg and Coopers and the rest of them. And I'm just wondering what they are bent to achieve. Now, if perhaps Frank Biya becomes, let's say he becomes the president of La Republic du Cameroon. Now we have one person that I'm just thinking about, Frundi. What will become of him? I mean, I don't know if you have anything to say about that. He should be a blackleg or a Cooper, right?
Yes, well, we believe he's a blackleg or a sellout because he ran for the president of this country, of Southern Cameroon, of La République du Cameroun, in the days that we were still considered as one Cameroon. And the system that is did not put him as president because of the corrupt election that we all experienced. And he should know better that he should stick with his people and fight for independence. Because as the system is, there's no way that someone from the former British Southern Cameroons can be president of that country. With that said, whatever is going on in their region, I would have hoped that people from that area, the Francophones, could rise up and fight for their own country like other people from different African countries to get France out of their country, because France has been in Mali, in Guinea, in Burkina Faso, Tunisia, all those places. I mean, think about Rwanda, where France was really the impetus for the genocide, and because of that, the people decided to remove French as their language, and they are clearly an Anglo-Saxon nation now. So I don't know what is happening with all these other Francophone countries that they cannot say bye-bye to France and stand on their own ground. We would hope that people that are in La République du Cameroun will do the same, but that is their own battle, because we know we are not part of them. We are fighting them and France for the genocide that has been in our country. And with what Dr. Ella has said, it is clear that the international community will see that there's just one principal actor in this struggle, in our liberation quest, and that is President Sako. And with this lockdown going to the third day, being successful, they understand that if they want permanent peace in both areas, there's one person that they must meet on that table. Nobody else, not Akwanga, not Cho Ayaba. And as you said in your earlier commentary, you mentioned that they always try to project the leaders that they want. They will be projecting people like Marianta, project Cho Ayaba or Akwanga, because they think that they can have their way with those people. But they know that to penetrate this interim government, to break us down, they have to break the spirit that President Sako is. And we are so far gone that even if President Sako were to lead us astray, there will be another leader that will arise. It's just only in our blood that we have to get to the end of that journey to reach Boya as an independent nation. We don't want to reach Boya as a federal nation, because, again, I say there are two ways of getting to Boya. Some people say, let's go to Boya, but they are playing the federalist game because Boya will still be the capital. We are saying we want to get to Boya as people that are an independent nation with defined boundaries that are separate from La République du Cameroun, with our own constitution and our own anthem and flag and all these trappings that makes a nation a nation. I am really looking forward to Wednesday, and I'm just appreciative of all our fallen heroes that have gone and paved, and their blood is all on the pavement, and it's because of that blood that we think about we have to stand firm, that we cannot give up. You don't give up midway your journey. You're in a ship. You don't stand in one place. You continue pedaling till you get to your destination. And that's what we are doing. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you so much. Indeed, we're heading somewhere, and we can't be distracted halfway. They want to see normalcy. La République du Cameroun and France want to see normalcy, so it doesn't attract international bodies into the war that's going on in Ambazonia. Well, Dr. Elad Kizito said he had a lot to say to Ambazonians in regards to the lockdown, the intricacies to the lockdown. So if you have any final words to say in regards to the lockdown. Anything you want Ambazonians to be aware of as concerns CBS and the lockdown, would like you to have the floor now for that.
Thank you again for having me. I just want to make the Ambazonian people to know that there is something going on in this world today, which the Pope is presently in Canada, asking for forgiveness from the indigenous people of Canada, whose children were taken off them, snatched, because when you say taken, it's like somebody agreeable gave his or a child, snatched off the people in order to assimilate them into the Canadian system, to forget about their culture and their background, where they come from. A lot of them died because some were resisting. They were killed, buried, and the Pope went to that grave. Today, Canada, the same Canada, is the main sponsor of the mediation process that we are having. And some people are so versed with social media that they don't follow what is going on in the world today. We always say Amazonians are not angry enough. This I've heard a lot of time from someone like Abdul Karim. So it makes me think, if at this particular moment Macron is going to La République du Cameroon, and let me take their press release that they put up, nothing said about the war that is going on. And part of it, I read that there's going to talk about the detention of the prisoners, the prisoners that are in their dungeon. And if ambassadors not follow up this trend, think about it. We are also on the same the Canadians, because their president, Paul Biambi-Vodo, openly said in Lyon, here in my neighbor here in France, that they try to simulate us, but it's not working. They did not mention how many people have been killed before this war to start at 2016-17. Macron is chairing the European Union at the moment, and he is like the chief negotiator to see about the end of the war in Ukraine. The whole world is watching Macron in La République du Cameroon. The whole world knows about this war between La République du Cameroon and Amazonia. If now go out and say Macron should use the advantage to tell La République to come to the table, you can know how far this has gone. So the reason that this lockdown is very necessary, because I myself, if it was that there was just nothing about Macron or any type of European Union leadership going to visit, which they have been doing it, then lockdown would have not been so necessary. Number one, Macron sockets of our resources in Africa, and particularly in Amazonia, because we know what we have there. Number two, he is the chairperson of the European Union. Three, he is one of the lead mediators for the Ukraine, with Ukraine and Russia. Number four, he just won slightly won his second term as president. And thirdly, he lose very big, according to Donald Bickley, the parliamentary election. So he is going back there now with all the hopes to get finance from La République, Frank Beer, which, as I said before, there is no news or whatever without, or lie or whatever, how do they call it, without a degree of truth in it. So the world is watching. And this lockdown is a sign, and the president said it himself. Even if he does not go to Amazonia to see how places are dry, he has his special agents, the securities, everywhere, journalists, investigative journalists, who are going to inform him that, look, your visit in La Republique, those people, they closed their borders. They didn't want to see you there. In fact, it was dry. And this is a plot for us, Ambazonia, not for President Sako. It's for us, Ambazonians, including those cowards who are sitting there and there should be no lockdown. They are also gaining from this. So what the hell are they doing there? And they're sitting and saying, my patients even call that they choose their own, they choose their leaders. No. They choose their people. These are not leaders. What do you call them leaders? Who are they leading? You listening to the Marietta, her audio. I didn't listen to the, somebody told me, let me be honest, because such bullshit, I don't listen to it. Saying, my government, yes, it's her government. Because she choose 2-3 group of, or the 4 or 5 of them sitting there. Let me tell you, if some of us were interested in this position, because even in this interim government today, let me say it, there are who are just vying for power. That is what this woman has been doing for me. I think she should listen to me, because she knows I know her very well. I know her very well. These are people who just want to be in position. If some of us were interested in this position, have not been the president of whatever you call coup plotters or whatever today, because I was the person that they wanted me to stand on that nonsense. And I told them that's not my aim of being in this revolution. That's not why I started to fight. I'm fighting to liberate my country and not be a president. I must not be a secretary of state. I must not be anybody to do that.
One must not be
a
president. Truly, one must not be a
president. I must just be devoted.
To head to Boya, truly. It's not about the positions and all. There's a lot of injustices that we want to report tonight, and we want you to react to them. In regards to what you're saying, most Ambazonians think it is all about the positions, the presidential chair, the being Secretary of State, but it is more than that. Like you said, it is really more than that. There's a couple of injustices that we have in our reports today, and like we have been, going through the news with you, there's something we'd like you to react to, but just hold on for a moment. Let's read this report in regards to certain injustices, and you react to that just right after this break.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Alright, so it is an obligation sustained by law to offer assistance to someone in danger. It is considered a criminal offense for defaulters. First aid has beyond doubt sustained people till proper medical attention and the eventual saving of lives. Faced with an emergency situation, it is but normal to consider immediate medical attention than requesting money. Worse still when it has to do with a government-run medical institution. The Colonial Bamenda Regional Hospital denied medical attention to a 14-year-old girl involved in a road accident just because the mother could not deposit money charged for scanning. The question today is the hospital staff just respecting the colonial instruction against the people of Ambazonia by La Republique du Cameroon? Was the money going to be used to buy the scanner? By the ethics of the medical profession, it is right to send home. No, I'm asking, is it right to send home an unstable accident victim from a health facility by the ethics of the medical profession?
That is indeed a real important question. By the ethics of medical etiquette, is it really right? It was on Friday. This is the full report of the story of the 14-year-old girl. It was on Friday, July 22nd, that the Bamenda Regional Hospital in Mezam County denied medical attention to a victim of a road accident. The 14-year-old girl, after being knocked down by a motorbike, was rushed to the above-mentioned hospital. She arrived at the hospital crying of a severe pain on the head and could not stand on her feet without help. The mother of this little girl, informed of the situation, arrived at said hospital about an hour after the daughter was rushed to the hospital. Astonished that her girl child has not benefited from any first aid and no painkiller administered to her, the mother was further demoralized when she was asked to deposit the sum of 150,000 francs CFA, an equivalent to about $300 US dollars actually, before any attention to be given to the child. Under the watchful eyes of medical practitioners, this downcast woman carried her wailing daughter out of the Bamenda Regional Hospital in Mezam County.
Now, Undaunted caught up with this 14-year-old girl on Sunday, July 24, 2022, 2 days after the incident. The girl was stable just after taking painkillers gotten from nearby medicine store at the Amachu neighborhood. Undaunted tried in vain to get a staff of the Bamenda Regional Hospital to react on this issue, but that wasn't possible. All right, before we get to our analysts for their last round of questions, let's look at the arrogated commercial motorcycle in Bamenda that was recovered in Yaoundé. Nothing can ever be hidden under the sun, be it good or bad. Though temporary, the reverse can be considered, but with time, all that which is done in the secret by nature will be brought to the lamplight. It has always been the plan of the colonial government of La République du Cameroon to serve southern Cameroonians of her rashes. The colonial military on Ambazonian soil are gradually and surely executing these barbaric scheme of the Yaoundé regime. In Mezam County of the Midland region of Ambazonia, beginning July 2022, the colonial military, under the instructions of the colonial governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique, have been seizing commercial motorcycles. No reason have been advanced for the one-term arrogation of these bikes. The bikes seized at gunpoint are being transported on military trucks till the barracks. The unfortunate commercial bike riders are in limbo as the colonial authorities have not spelled out the modalities of recovering this bike. One of the bike rider who preferred anonymity talked to Undaunted, and he said, "I mounted courage, went to the barracks to recover my bike, given that the bike is the only means to feed my family and make ends meet. I was ready for anything to recover my bags, even though I did nothing wrong at the first place. Once at the barracks, a military man arrogantly sent me away, that I should forget about my bike. He added that I should go and join my brothers in the bush." I mean, he meant liberation fighters.
The hidden agenda behind the seizing of Southern Cameroon commercial motorcycles is now exposed. One of the arrogated bikes have been uncovered in Yaoundé, the political capital of La République du Cameroon. The bike was seen with a junior brother of a colonial military man working in Bamenda chief town of the Midland region of Ambazonia. What a calculated attempt to punish the people of Ambazonia by depriving them of their sources of livelihood. Is the colonial governor not aware of the illegal transferring of seized bikes to neighboring La République du Cameroon? Certainly he is aware, given that he is the one charged with the implementation of the colonial policy in Savannah and Midland regions of Ambazonia. Is this not enough reason for promoters of federalism to consider separation from this wicked regime? Now, this is the full story. It was on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, that a commercial bike rider surrendered his bike to the colonial military officers in Mezam County at gunpoint in broad daylight. Now, jobless and with nothing doing, this guy accepted a proposal from his elder brother to come be with him in Yaoundé and have a better environment to think of what activity to engage with again. The frustrated bike rider, after attempt to recover his bike, went to Yaoundé, the political capital of La République du Cameroon, 2 weeks after his bike was arrogated. One afternoon, while walking around the streets of Yaoundé, he identified his seized bikes. He immediately bounced on the bike and called for help. The impostor owner of the bike confessed that the bike was sent to him by his military brother working in Bamenda. He then handed the bike to the rightful owner without any resistance. Thank God. This is how this commercial bike rider recovered his bike arrogated in Bamenda. Thank God he traveled to Yaoundé. How many of the seized bikes have already been carried out of Mezem County to different parts of La République du Cameroon and given to family members as gifts? The colonial authorities have not made a statement on the number of commercial motorcycles seized so far.
All right, this is not the first time that we have brought the news about arrogated bikes, but I mean, this is a different turn altogether. We will end this particular report by giving you this passage of the Holy Book, the Bible, which is taken from Psalms 125, verse 3. It says, "For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity." All right, now, we have already eaten into the time for Dr. Martin Mungo. Of course, this is Tuesday, and he's supposed to be having his weekly liberation briefing. And so we are still in some minutes into Dr. Martin Mungo's time right now. Please, Dr. Martin Mungo, please just give us some more minutes from your time. Of course, he's going to be coming out right immediately after the Undaunted news this night. And he will be talking about President Sarkozy's message to President Macron, and he's going to be talking about France's chokehold on Ambazonia, and of course it is over. So please hold on for Dr. Martin Mungwa. He's going to be coming up right after the news. All right, we still have Dr. Kizito Elad and of course Dr. Patience Abiode in the studio. Would want you to briefly analyze any or both of their stories that we've given out this evening. You could talk about the story of the young girl that wasn't given proper attention at the hospital, or you could talk about this arrogated bike that the owner finally saw with the colonialist friend or brother. I mean, it's amazing the kind of things that we get to see every day just because we want freedom. Over to you, Dr. Kizito.
Yeah, thank you again. Concerning the young girl, I will send my sincere apology to the family. I think Dr. Patience in a good place to talk about that, because as a lawyer, let me say it's totally wrong. You have to help before you ask for anything. You don't go to an emergency and you're asking somebody. The highest you can ask, like in Europe or America, is the insurance card. So Dr. Patience will do that more. The bike. Well, Mr. used the word punishment of the Amazonians. That is not punishment, because the legal term of punishment is not only to inflict pains on someone, is to distress that person, to recognize his or her crime or disturbance caused, so he or she receives some type of punishment. But this is thievery, this is stealing, and La République, they are good in that. So when you call it punishment to dignify what they did, that means that the guy committed a crime and his bike was taken in order to inflict some type of discomfort to him. No, that was not it. They stole the bike and sent it to Yaoundé. And that's what they are doing. In Fako, that is what is happening. The colonial governor there is bent to sell all the lands. He sells the land of the people, seizes land from people and sell to other people. And he is being supported by one of the sellouts who is also an Amazonian. of that guy. And when we will get him, in fact, he knows what will happen to him. So it's not a thing. So to summarize all this, we've talked a lot, and I'm very grateful. And I want to thank the people of Amazonia for the lockdown, and I want to make sure that go and support your county.
All right.
During the draft period. Go and draft for your county, and those you know, invite them to come and draft for your counties, because it is only that money that we will use to fish out La Republique in our territory. Thank you again for having me this evening, and we'll always be together.
All right, thank you so much also, Dr. Kizito Elad. All right, let's have you, our sweet mother, Dr. Patience Abiodi. Let's have your reactions as well.
Yes, thank you for that question. You know, for that poor child, first, do no harm. That is part of the Hippocratic Oath. Most people that go to medical school, become medical doctors, they say this oath because as people in the profession, your first obligation is do no harm. And that's why we are fighting for this journey to Boya, for independence. I recall years ago when I was a child, I swallowed a marble, just like a child playing. I swallowed a marble. We were living in Boya. I walked to the hospital. I must have been probably 7 years old. My mother didn't know. I was afraid to tell my. I walked to the hospital, and they took care of me as a child. That is what we are trying to do, build hospitals, take care of the people, and not just caring about financial rewards, about profits. How can people lose a life as if it's something that you can get back? How can you let somebody die because you want financial rewards first? That is not the Ambazonia we're fighting for. That is why it's so pitiful to those of our people that think they can stay with La Republique and get the type of country that we had in the 60s and 70s. It will not happen. And the only way out of this is to be steadfast and remember that, as Dr. Ellen has said, that you can be very effective as members of your LGAs and counties, paying your draft, paying your CID, supporting ABC. Those are the three minimum you should do as somebody in the diaspora. Pay your CID, support ABC, Amba TV, and pay your draft. If you do those three things, all of us Ambazonians, Boya will be around the corner in no time. So, Ms. Onye, I say that for our people that are losing their lives every day in La Republique because they don't have the financial resources to pay the doctors before they are being attended to, that's a tragedy. That's travesty. It should not be like that. In the United States of America, when you go to the hospital, you are taken care of, whether you have the money or not. There may be a bill later on that you cannot afford. That's a different ballgame, but you will be taken care of. That is the Ambazonia we want to build, and not a place where they don't take care. They think that we are second-hand citizens, so we have to perish.
All right. All right.
And before I go, please, one more quick comment. I just wanted to react to Thibault Nash tweet. You remember you read it in the beginning of the commentary about the news, and that French President Macron's first official visit to Cameroon is perfect opportunity to insist to Biya and entourage to engage honestly with Anglophone seek resolution. I don't think that's the even right approach. The right pressures have to be put by the international communities on France and Macron before we sit on the table. It's the other way around. So the international community has to put the right pressures on Macron of France so that they can let La République come and sit on the table with Ambazonia. That is it. No other way around.
All right.
Thank you so
all
much.
right, and of course that is it. Dr. Patience, it seems like whenever you come on the show, we would need to buy extra time. We've already bought some time already from Dr. Martin Munga's show, and we can't exceed the time that we've already bought. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, Dr. Kizito Elad, for coming. We'll definitely have you both again on the show, but for today, we are buying time already. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope that we'll definitely come back after the lockdown and after the visit and probably have a review of it all and get a better state into what we desire and what we deserve. All right, back to the news, fellow Ambazonians. Let's get you the editorial.
In our editorial today, we'll bring to you yet another important article from Don Juan Obi, the Lord of the Realm. This article, he tags the insecurity associated with the Anglophone political DNA. The Anglophone Cameroonian is the political race created by an unsuccessful attempt to assimilate Ambazonians by French Cameroons. Anglophone Cameroonian youths are the most indiscriminate consumers of comedy from talent of English, Chinese, Indian, and French expressions amongst their Cameroonian peers. Anglophone Cameroonians make up the most indelicately exposed participants across socialized platforms and foreign media blogs in the Cameroons. Anglophone Cameroonians are most willing to completely lower down their defense mechanisms on the least promise of fortune and opportunity. Anglophone Cameroonians display higher than normal interest in the social-political activities of other races and social groups, forming part of the most vulnerable and abused audience. Anglophones are most likely to be fully engaged and undergo near complete transformation as proof of adaptation in their respective foreign host communities. Anglophones are one of the most targeted audience by religious fanatics seeking fresher and virgin followers. Anglophones are amongst the most exploited victims by fraudsters, travel agencies, and scams in Nigeria. Anglophones are most likely to fall prey to illusionists, miracle marketers, and prosperity brokers in the faith industry. Anglophones form the largest opinion pool amongst participants in proxy media platforms which pushes French Cameroon narratives. Anglophones are most likely to fall into clickbait amongst peer groups in English-speaking Africa with higher willingness to volunteer information. Anglophones are most willing to volunteer personal information to unknown platforms without guarantees. Anglophones are the most unwilling to turn down friends' requests from unknown persons' entities. Anglophones are among the least willing to plan and work together under challenges of stress, risk, hazards, and threat. Anglophones would rank high amongst those unable to sustain collective actions, sacrifices on the long run. Anglophones will more than anyone seek third-party counsel or advice on any engagement irrespective of the level of sensitivity, oaths, vows, secrecy, and covenants. Anglophones are most likely to abandon any engagement for promises of personal emotional gratification. Anglophones are highly likely to expect or feel entitled to fair treatment from an adversary or enemy. Anglophones would hardly activate or initiate guarantees before venturing on any economic, socio-political adventure. Anglophones are most likely to display the affections, emotions of their host community as a ritual of acceptance. Anglophone Cameroonians are easily incentivized by other causes to abandon or deviate from tradition, ritual, beliefs, business, standards, principles, values, and culture. Anglophone Cameroonians will easily put aside deeds, words, confession, bond, if circumstances invite greater attention, albeit momentary and conditional. Anglophone Cameroonians would most likely suppress evidence, intelligence, history, fact, and even memory for the reward of media attention and comfort of politics. They may not have assimilated them, but they are not conscious of themselves. This was where he ended his article, and that's where we end our editorial for today. Wasn't that indeed an article of wisdom? If you want more of such articles, kindly visit our website at www.abcambertv.com for more.
All right, thank you so much, Star Smart, for that editorial. And of course, this is where we come to the end of Undaunted tonight. Thank you so much for being part of the show tonight. And thank you so much for allowing all our analysts express themselves this evening. Thank you so much for participating. Dr. Martin Mungwa comes off right after now. I am Onyi Opala. Good night.